We're sitting here, and right behind you is the iconic 24 car, which everybody knows the history of that car prior to you getting in it, and now you're in it. But your path to get there, it was a little bit different than most.
Yeah, I started racing on iRacing, which is kind of unique and very different than other guys start racing. You know, I didn't run go-karts as a kid. I didn't really grow up in a racing family, so I was just so passionate about racing in general that I wanted to get involved in the driving side of it. And that came later when I was 14 or 15 years old, but thankfully I had iRacing to use as a platform to get started and hone my skills.
William Byron's a great story from our perspective because, I'll be honest, we didn't know anything about him. He was the one that told the story about how he used iRacing at home and was proving to be really good at it, and his dad took notice and said, you know what, why don't we get a Legends car and we'll go try this for real.
That bump in turn one, that bump is, I mean, that's right where it is on the racetrack.
I mean, most of the track layout stuff's exactly the same, which is really helpful if you're going to the racetrack for the first time.
So the simple fact that we're shifting, that's kind of, like I wouldn't have guessed that we would have had to do that when we started this, based on the video games I played in the past. There's iRacing and there's video games. What's generally the difference between the two?
Yeah, so iRacing's more of a simulator. It's not as much of a game, I think. They always say that, you know, guys that race iRacing all the time want to say how it's a simulator, not a game.
We are not a video game. You know, Gran Turismo, Forza, you buy one of those games in the store, you take it home and you run it on your console, you're gonna play that for 20 or 30 hours. What's really unique about our product is that people spend hundreds of hours on our product because it's not easy.
It's really more of a tool. It's kind of like a flight simulator. It's more of something you use to hone your skills at a higher level instead of just going on there and picking up a controller.
Oh, you ran me up the track.
That was a pretty good race.
What was different from the iRacing in terms of when you got loose or when you got tight when you were in the real car?
Honestly, in some ways it was easier. And that sounds crazy, but you could feel the car more.
That doesn't sound crazy. It makes me kind of curious, though.
Yeah, you could feel the car more, and in person I had that extra, or I had extra skills to use or extra senses to kind of use in the car. So my sense of smell you don't have on iRacing, and your sense of, I guess, feel and danger and fear factor is not there.
I guess the fact that you think that the real cars are easier than the iRacing, that tells us why you're having the level of success that you are at this point right now.
Byron jumps to the lead on the restart.
He's so nervous, he knows how close he is to his first win at this moment.
Career win number one for William Byron comes at Iowa. What a night for William Byron.
Towards the end of that season, the announcement's made. You're going to the 24 car.
There was a big announcement earlier this week out of Hendrick Motorsports. 19-year-old William Byron will now occupy that car for the 2018 season.
There's a lot of pressure that comes with hopping in the 24 car.
Driving the Cup car itself is obviously a challenge, but I knew, you know, I just trusted my instinct, kind of trusted what I've done to get to this point. So, you know, the boss didn't really put that much pressure on me. Mr. Hendrick kind of told me to just go out there and make sure I can learn this year. You were running, that was like you ran half second faster than you ever did. Right there.
That's your way of saying bless his heart before you say you suck. When you look at iRacing and you look at the impact it had on your career, and yes, you had to go learn the driving aspect of it, but it's what kind of got you started. What role do you think it's going to play in kids coming up through in the future?
I think it's huge. I think it's probably the next innovation for racing. Or I think there's going to be more data, more chances to understand what's happening inside the race car. And I think where you see that in F1 is guys, they're taking them off the development teams and putting them right into the real cars just because of the data they see that they're able to produce. So I think you're going to understand who has talent, who doesn't, a lot quicker. And that's going to make for iRacing to be a bigger platform.